mean, they had the testimony of Sammy Ramirez, a high up, supposedly high up Nuestra Familia gang member who, supervised the Norteño street gangs. And he provided this theory of the prosecution, which was that there is a green light on the mob gang, and that in order to get that green light lifted, they had to commit crimes, specifically the murder of Sureños.
Sure, how he was tied to their creation. He himself testified that his business partner was Javier Garcia, who was, the evidence showed, a shot caller, a leader of this mob gang.
Nosotros fumamos, chingamos, hackeamos, peleamos, cuetamos, aquí estamos y no los vamos, rifamos todo. ¡Chao! ¡Ahú! ¡Ahú!
I want to welcome and thank you for dropping in and checking out this episode of Gangster Music and Dirty Politics. I'm your host that's hated the most, Gangster Frank Gucci. With that said, hit the like button, leave a comment, share, and subscribe if the content interests you. Now let's talk about this whole thumbnail, money, this whole Upstate versus Norteños, you know what I'm saying? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the Upstaters and the war that's going on and continuing in Northern California. Well, it's all good in the pinta. This whole raza versus raza, as you get to a certain age, money, it becomes disturbing, money. And the way we view each other as human beings is inhumane. The hate we have in our hearts for one another without a real solid reason is insanity, money. And it's unrivaled anywhere you go, my boy. You know what I'm saying? The madness that has been created to keep us at a disadvantage in society is a major concern, a big problem when it comes to progress as a whole and as individuals, thus making it detrimental, money. You know what I'm saying? A chicano state of emergency, if you will, type of situation. But where and when do we start any type of change, money, for the betterment of our people? Or how do we stop the violence when no one wants to hear shit, money? I ain't preaching no Jesus Christ. You know what I'm saying? No one wants to hear about stopping the violence, money, because it's too busy. Everybody's too busy hating each other, hating on each other. You know, how do we hate or want to kill someone so bad that we never met or have no personal beef with? How did the tension between both sides elevate to the point of this ongoing self-destruction, money, we know as genocide? What do we stand to gain in a war that's already over in prison, money, but in full effect in Northern California? These youngsters are still whacking out each other, my boy. And there's no way to justify these youngsters killing one another over what part of California they want to claim, bang, or represent. You know what I mean? How do we, as veteranos, OGs, older individuals, older vatos, money, who know better and have a more sense of, or have a crystal clear understanding of life and what a waste of life is. We sacrifice with no reward. In sight, money, nowhere. We're not getting paid nothing for all the shit we do, going through 20, 30 years for nothing. You know what I'm saying? The precious time we waste fighting each other could be spent more productively if we knew better. You know what I'm saying? Like starting a few businesses, building empires. You know, we know what's going on in the streets, money, the OGs, money, with everything that's going on in the streets and the pintas. But no one wants to do nothing about it. Everybody's scared. How can we make drastic changes in this gang world that's been pushing the same agenda for over 50 years, money? The self-destruction cause. Taking kids away from their mothers and fathers away from their kids, money. That's what all this shit is giving us, my boy. That's all we're getting out of it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's always going to be problems, money. There's always going to be personal beef, you know what I mean, over certain situations, you know what I'm saying? So people are going to continue to go to jail. This South versus North ain't going to change any of that, you know what I'm saying? For personal reasons and for survival reasons, like I said, people are going to go to jail, money. But the point is that no matter what, there's always going to be crime, money, as long as there's poverty, money. And there's always going to be poverty because we ain't trying to build. As long as we continue this self-destruction and destroying one another, our communities we live in will always be what they are, money. Because if we can't change anything unless we change the things we do, money. You know what I'm saying? But this chaos that we got going on right now is way beyond that, money. There's already so many young, disadvantaged brown men and boys growing up in these poverty neighborhoods that fall perfectly into the category of self-hate and destruction. They fall right in line, baby. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing else to offer in our neighborhoods, money, and our communities. So this upstate versus norteños just adds to the problem that the gabachos already gave us, money, the government, money, and it continues to plague our barrios and our communities. You know what I'm saying? With no end in sight. What we got here is just it just ain't beef, money. It's what the conquistadors started. And we continue this form of self-infliction. It's genocide on a high level, money. And those that stand to make a profit or to gain from it, they don't want this shit to stop, money. They don't want it to stop. You know what I'm saying? This is helping them feed their own selves, money. I'm tired of fighting a war, money, that I didn't even fucking start, my boy. A lot of beef between barrios, raza, let's say, outside of California, they have a fucking actual history between both sides. Here, North versus South, street gangs have no barrio warfare history that predates the political part of this war based on distance of how far we are from each other. Because back in the days, Southerners would come up north, Chicanos from up north would go down south. It was all about low riding. There was nothing like this shit. You know what I'm saying? This is a prison beef, money. Nothing to do with our barrios, but we have been dragged or pulled into a war we didn't even fucking start, my boy, or really have nothing to do with. You know what I mean? Outside of being used as foot soldiers, we don't stand to gain nothing, money. Nada out of this fucking beef, money. Not a fucking cent, not a dollar. Nothing but time, injury, and death, money. You know what I mean? And does that even make any sense, money? So what exactly are we fighting for then? If it's not feria, money, or the betterment of ourselves. So because of our mental illness called vato loco, money, crazy dudes, we cause heartache, we cause heartbreak and disloyalty to the actual people who love us, money, our familia, money. And it's fucked up. It's fucked up. You know what I mean? And moreover, money, it's crazy how most Caucasian people don't have to deal, or their kids don't have to deal with none of these situations or disadvantages that our gente from these fucked up areas have to deal with on a daily basis, money. I mean, every time they step out the casa, G. You know what I'm saying? On top of that, money, Caucasians, they really have lifelong friends who care for them and help build up one another, money. Whereas in the life of a gang member or this gang life, we don't have friends. We don't have friends like that, money. We have more like associates around us. You know, people that are around us until they are told otherwise, my boy. Or they'll use us up to their advantage until you're no longer needed, end up in jail, deemed or dead. You know what I mean? It's bullshit. You know what I mean? Even after all your sacrifices, like myself, after 20 years plus, money, of loyalty, this is a dog-eat-dog world, money. Everybody is a pawn, money, except for the people that are up there, money. And pawns are disposable. We as soldiers gain nothing, as I said before earlier in this conversation, maybe a reputation, but that could be all over with a fucking strike of a pen on a little piece of paper. You know what I'm saying? And nobody gives a fuck about you in this life. Not in this gang life, money. Nobody, money. No one. It's all fake love, G. You know what I'm saying? Two faces, money. Haters, snakes. It's a game, baby. You know what I'm saying? Don't get it twisted with your immediate family, your real loved ones, the ones that are affected the most because of this crazy life that you chose that we call mi vida loca. So with that said, we all have an idea of what we stand to lose in this war that has no real righteous cause behind it. I mean, like living a smart, positive, genuine, comfortable life with those who really care and love you, money. You know what I'm saying? Building for the future bloodlines or generations of our people, money. Why put them in the same harm's way? Why would you want them to do all the same and deal with all the same bullshit you had to? If there's nothing to gain, why do we continue this war in Northern California, only the program in prison with each other, like it or not, money? It's Mando. You know what I'm saying? You get removed, baby. You know what I'm saying? Life is about progress, money. As long as we go through this life, we must make adjustments, money, for advancement. You know what I'm saying? Ignorance can get you nowhere fast, my boy, real fast. You know what I'm saying? So even if you a even if you a youngster and you're living this life with this hate for another person you ain't never seen or met before, it's crazy as fuck. Think about it. You can go do 50 years for someone you never even done it to you because they were wearing on the wrong color. You know, you're against peace, so was I. But when your little brother, sister, primo, tío, best friend gets killed, you know, down the line, money, we could have prevented it from happening. We could have prevented it. You know what I mean? Instead, we push it. We exploit this fucking hate that's been passed along to us generation after generation. In every war, money, blood is shed, and in every war, there's an end, money. To continue this path of destruction, our next generation will deal with the same fucking consequences, outcomes, and shortcomings as those in the past and present have, like myself. You know what I mean? I'm not saying let's be best friends with these cats, money. You know what I'm saying? They're people, but a ceasefire or a non-aggression pact will slightly change things in our backyard, money. Upstaters are outnumbered 100 to 1. That's all bullshit aside. So they gain ground and growth from a lightweight troops. So I don't understand why they would be against something that's beneficial in every way to their community and where they reside. You know what I mean? On the other hand, Norteños stand to gain nothing, money, but a lightweight truce. Somewhat peace of mind, but really overall, a chance to skip prison, money. Maybe start a business, be a family man, a good father. You know what I mean? A great husband, money. You know what I'm saying? The things we didn't have, we got to change money so that we can have it for our next generation, money. I'm just saying at the end of the day, money, it just doesn't make sense to continue fighting on the streets if the North and the South, Norteños, are programming together in state prisons, money. Why we continue the bullshit? I say all this with the utmost respect, money. I'm out.